this is where, you know, I had a load of girlfriends, you know, and I basically thought I was using them. But it turned out they also was using me. So I ended up having children. I've got 4 boys and 2 girls and 3 grandchildren right now. I've got three children in one relationship and 3 children in 3 other relationships. Well, to be quite honest, you know, that legacy, I'm still living the day-to-day reaction of that legacy. And what I mean is, because my father wasn't around and I just follow suit. The point I'm actually making is, you know, I don't feel good. I'm not proud about it. The fact that, you know, I've got children here and there. And it was in reality, it was impossible for me to share my love equally. So, as I start having children, you know, I start getting involved in a different set of guys, and we started robbing jeweler shops, post office and banks. So, from the age of 15 to when I started doing robberies, I was in and out of prison like on remand. I done 4 sentences, you know, from Brixton, 3.5 years, 3 years, and 2.5 years. And then I got my 12 years, which I would explain later on, because that is a big major change. Most of my life, you know, I had a chip on my shoulder. And I suppose what it was, no, it's not support. In reality, what it was is because you know, from an early age, I had an identity problem. You know, one stage, people would say, what is he? Is he black? Is he white or whatever? So, and because I never had my father around and I was too young to explain, because I'm from a West Indian, Jamaican origin. I've got Chinese, white and black in me. So I can't actually be a racist now, can I? But, you know, in the 60s, which when in my younger days, it was like, I had a lot of problems. But God, He gave me my strength, and I was fairly big, so I knew how to use my fists. On top of that, on the streets I was known as a pretty hard man, and then obviously I got into crime, you know, and then all the raving and everything, you know, anything sinful. My life was so sinful, it was unbelievable. I was walking, in fact I was basically, as far as I'm concerned now, when I think, you know, only God could have taken me away from the lifestyle I used to live. I came out of Parkhurst prison and I started moving with certain people. I got involved in drugs. We used to run a pirate radio station called Passion in Brixton. I used to go Jamaica, I've been California, New York, all drug related.
Yard man up in New York.
I've been places called Waterhouse, Saratoga, New York, Hawthorne in California. But what it was now, because I was I grew up in a Jamaican community in Brixton. I sort of, because I was going back and forth Jamaica, New York and them places, I was sort of getting involved with Jamaican criminals then. And then we got involved in the politics. Well, I got involved in the politics, to be quite honest. And a place in Waterhouse, right, the place I used to hang about, it's called Moscow, which obviously, because it's a PNP area, which is Socialist Party, which I suppose has got ties with Fidel Castro and things like that because of communism and things like that, socialism. Because of the drugs and the lifestyle in Jamaica, a gun is second nature. That's just part of your everyday living. When I was in New York, I had the first gun I had was a .38 Special, right? We had, you know, the barrel had 5 slugs instead of, which was the older one. Most of them would have 6, but the one with the 5 slugs is more powerful. Then I had a yes, I have been involved in shootouts, and I praise God to this day that no one ever died. But it was very, very dangerous. Anyway, an incident happened in New York where I ended up back in England. And then I got involved with certain people over here because I felt most of the criminals in England at that time was a bit soft because obviously, you know, they didn't walk around with guns, and I'm used to having guns around me. So at this particular time, I used to call him Satan. And to tell the truth, I am not glorifying that fact I used to walk around with guns. To tell the truth, it was a form of insecurity, being nobody, because, you know, I had a low self-esteem from an early age, and my father wasn't around, and, you know, I was a confused person. But little did I know that God had a plan for me. When you're living a life of crime, you expect to go to prison. On my last sentence, I'd done a 12-year sentence. I'd done 8 years, 5 days. But only this time, the sentence was not like before. First of all, I was a high-risk prisoner. And being a high-risk prisoner, that is a double A. When I was in Belmarsh prison, when I first got arrested, I was in a prison within a prison. It's called a unit. It's so secured that even when I went on the yard for exercise, it was caged off. So you imagine like an animal in a zoo, in a cage. The type of prisoner I was mixing with at the time was the Republic of Ireland, right, the IRA, Colombian cartel, the Cockney gangsters from Bermondsey, but these were like the premiership. And at first I thought, wow, I hit the big time. At that time they said, you know, my code Ds and myself, they said, these guys are the most dangerous guys ever stepped on these shores. They was calling me Yardie gangsters. Me and my colleagues, Yardie gangsters. But the funny thing about it is, we're all born in this country. But you know, the tabloids exaggerate things. They made me out to be a monster.